Your mom.
Hi, sweetheart. Let's just wait a couple more minutes, guys, if that's okay with you.
So Ray, I didn't know you were recording. I didn't put my makeup on.
Oh, come on. You still got the morning stuff on, you know, it hasn't quite worn off yet.
No,
It would be-
okay.
Hey, Ray, it would be my director, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's just wait till 7:05 if you guys don't mind.
Okay. Oh, cool.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you? My name is Tanisha Johnson. I'm the PTO president at Stokes Elementary, and my kids go to Kilmer, Stokes, and Holland.
Oh, welcome. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, thank you. I'm glad I was able to catch you. I'm on my way home from Stokes, actually.
Okay.
And I was like, oh my goodness, 7 o'clock meeting. So I'm walking home. I should be there in like 5 minutes.
Nobody else is talking.
I think that I don't really want to wait too much longer.
Octavia, real quick,
Okay.
is James coming on tonight? Is he here?
James is
Yes,
on.
he's here. He's here.
Okay,
Hi,
good.
Jay,
Hey,
everybody.
James.
I am here.
Good to hear from you, James.
Yeah, good to hear from
Okay.
you. There's so many people here I haven't seen in so long, so I'm glad to be back.
Perfect.
I don't see Bob. He's not here. Finetti.
He is coming. At least last I heard via email a few minutes or a few hours ago now, but he should be here.
Okay.
Who's that? Raymond?
I'm thinking,
No, that's Octavia. It's Octavia.
I know. I was say I could say hello.
Someone want to say hello?
Yes. Bernice.
Bernice, hi, Bernice. How are
Hi.
you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good, good.
I am a member of the West neighborhood group, and so Avery told me about the meeting, so I'm sitting in because.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for coming.
Yes, I'm in the West Ward and want to know all about what's going on with that building.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay. What's
Thank
going on,
you.
Harry? I see you. All right, so
Can you see you?
Mhm.
I think that we should just go on and get started. I don't want to wait too long, but I want to say greetings to everybody. I am Octavia Suffin, and I'm president of NEA Neighborhood Improvement Association. And we first would like to welcome all of you to this informational meeting regarding the Bellevue Rutherford redevelopment plan. Second of all, we must thank you for showing up at this late notice. Sorry for the late notice. But I'm going to ask everyone to please put yourself on mute unless you're speaking to keep all background noise at a minimum. Thanks. For starters, NEA has worked with every city administration from 2006 to present to get the Bellevue Rutherford area redeveloped. In April of 2010, a resolution was adopted, the RFP issued in July of 2010, and submission was completed and accepted in August of 2010. An in need of redevelopment report was then initiated. On June 16, 2011, authorization to perform a redevelopment investigation of the Bellevue Rutherford study was initiated. So keep in mind, there was a lot of studies going on within this time period. In 2014, the resolution was amended and the study continued under the contract of Clark, Caton, and Hentz. In 2015, the planning board heard and examined Central West redevelopment plan that is currently in the Bellevue Rutherford redevelopment plan. In 2016, The planning board recommended to designate that said area as the redevelopment area for Bellevue and Rutherford, their study area, in need of redevelopment and rehabilitation. This area also includes the Central West redevelopment area. Please let it be known that NEA initiated the effort in 2006 and has been involved in every aspect through every step of the way. I must say, it's unfortunate it took all these years to get to where we are today, but we haven't given up and we're still pushing forward. More currently, in 2021, NEA collaborated with the City of Trenton, Panacea Estate, and Clark Caton and Hanson in an effort to redevelop the Bellevue-Rutherford area. We had our first community meeting August of 2021 and have had 5 additional meetings since then. And the last one was January 12th, 2022. It was via Zoom, and I think a few of you may have attended that meeting. It's our dream to see the entire dynamics of that community enhanced with new homes built, current homes renovated, and thriving new businesses established. I mean, a community where upstanding individuals and families can come live, work, and play. So this is our goal, and this is what we've been striving for since 2006. With that being said, I'd like to ask Stephanie Register, the city senior planner, to expound further. After she expounds on what I've just said, James Cavelli of Clark Caton and Hens, he'll give an overview of the current plan. Then we can have a discussion session after that, and then a closeout. So Stephanie, would you take us away?
Yes, ma'am. So with all that being said, we are currently looking to actually have the resolution, well, the ordinance presented to City Council, hopefully on their first meeting for February 21st. And the ordinance will speak to the introduction of the plan, the rehabilitation redevelopment plan for the Bellevue-Rutherford area. This ordinance will allow the plan to be forward as a land use portion for that particular area. We're hoping that with all of the meetings and the updates and the plan after you see the plan itself, that the ordinance will be introduced to City Council, hopefully with you guys as championing it, and it will be approved and accepted and adopted. So I'm going to go ahead and actually ask James to continue so he can let us know what the update, because I know everyone has actually participated in all of the community meetings and looked at the plan itself for the previous drafts. However, I believe that we probably need to get a little just idea of what the draft looked like so that we can have a better understanding what we're looking to put before City Council. So James, I'm going to let you go ahead and take that away.
Absolutely. And so I'm going to be presenting a short presentation to give an overview of the information that's in the plan. So I'm going to share my screen.
And we'll take questions and answers, and we'll give answers at the end.
Okay. And Stephanie, can you just confirm that you guys can see my screen? That's the City of Trenton, Mercer County, Mercer Hospital redevelopment area. Can you guys see that?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, everybody. And thank you very much for the introduction, Octavia. It's like I had said at the beginning of the call, it's great to see everyone. This project went on hold for a little bit, but we put a lot of work and effort into it up until about 1.5 years ago or so. So to see it back and ready to go is great. So what I'm going to do is give an overview of the plan. What you can see on the cover photo here is the redevelopment area. And so let's dig right into it. Okay. Well, and also let me take one moment to say also, so the impetus for this plan was due to the Mercer Hospital closing and not most, but not all of the facilities closing with it. And as Octavia had introduced at the beginning of the call, the history behind this redevelopment designation. And a few years ago, a private developer in the area, the owner of Panacea Estates, commissioned us to begin writing this plan. And so we're working with him and then with the City of Trenton as well, and NEA, and to put this plan forth. So a little bit of background there to give you a sense of where we are in the process. So the redevelopment area was designated in 2016. the next step is for for the plan to be presented to City Council and hopefully adopted by City Council, and then after that comes the redevelopment projects, which would have to work within the framework of the plan as it is approved, if and when it is approved. Okay. The folks who are involved, and we've already heard a bit about this, NIA is involved, the Neighborhood Improvement Association of Trenton. We had feedback from the mayor. This is a city project, so we included the councilwoman Tessica Frisbee's name as well. Stephanie Register from the city of Trenton has been a huge advocate for this plan and a great contributor to it as well. Robert Prunetti, who I think is supposed to be on the call today, is not on yet, but he might be having some issues logging in, so hopefully he's able to get in. But he works for Phoenix Ventures, and he's been working with the owner and developer who's funding the plan. Then I'm James Clavelli. I work with Clark Gate & Hintz. I'm a planner. Our firm is actually based in Trenton in the old Masonic Lodge building on Barrack Street. And we're also working with some folks from Northwest Financial, though I don't believe they'll be on the call today. And finally, the owner of Panasia Estate is Hemant Mehta, who again, I don't think is on the call today, but he is a big part of this plan as well. And what we look to accomplish with this redevelopment is to eliminate blighted, dilapidated, and underutilized and obsolescent conditions in the area, to strengthen the neighborhood, to bring in additional uses, so commercial uses, stores, restaurants, things like that, educational uses, healthcare related uses, and of course residential uses and additional housing in a range of housing types. So single family home, multifamily, and townhomes, doubles, triples, things like that, as well as rehabilitation of existing buildings. The largest portion of this redevelopment area is what's known as an area in need of rehabilitation, or rehabilitation area. The idea behind that being to rehabilitate the existing housing stock. We are looking to also create neighborhood scale recreational and open space. So that's places for everybody in the public to be able to enjoy outdoors. And to take advantage of some of the existing assets that the neighborhood has, specifically the Delaware-Marion Canal. So the park being a major part of this redevelopment area as a connector, as an amenity, as something to build around and to include and make better for the neighborhood. And of course, Trenton is filled with beautiful historic buildings and assets to maintain those as well. So redevelopment, this question asks why redevelopment? Redevelopment allows for new zoning and design regulations in a complete and holistic way. So zoning ordinances tend to be things we're familiar with, going to the zoning office, getting permits to build certain things. A redevelopment area envisions sometimes a large area, sometimes a smaller area, in this case, a fairly large area, to develop it holistically. And the impetus for this one is due to the Mercer Hospital having primarily left, right? So there's still some of those healthcare facilities are there, but most of it is gone. And to use that existing building and infrastructure and all of that space, that kind of gap that was left, as a catalyst to put something else there to help to continue to help the neighborhood to thrive, to be more lively and economically prosperous, and to have more and newer infrastructure as well. So it gives enhanced tools, redevelopment. It also gives fiscal incentives, and it provides an ability for economic growth within the city. Okay. So context, this is where the redevelopment area is relative to the rest of Trenton. So the red area is the redevelopment area. The yellow boundary there is the rest of Trenton. So get a sense of where it is. Okay. This is a closer up view of where it is and in the context of what streets it's near. So Stuyvesant Avenue, Hermitage Avenue, Prospect Street, and then Calhoun Street to the east there. And then that green line that you see below is where the DNR Canal and Belvedere Greenway run parallel to the redevelopment area. Okay. I want to caution, some of these photos are a little bit out of date. I took these photos about a year and a half or 2 years ago, but because of the short turnaround for when the meeting came up, I haven't been able to take new ones. So it might look a little bit different now than it does in the photos, but these are some of the areas around the hospital, some of the hospital properties. The photo in the lower left is, I believe, still a functioning and open facility, but some of the others are photos of the Mercer Hospital, which has been abandoned for some time and not operating. Okay. These are some photos of other parts of the surrounding neighborhood. These are primarily residential properties in different forms, single family homes, multifamily homes, doubles and triples. I believe the one in the central, lower central is a quad or sort of a smaller, lower high rise. This is some of the open space assets in the area. So as you can see, the Belvedere Greenway and the DNR Canal are part of this neighborhood. They're beautiful natural assets. They're great for walking, cycling, and the idea is to use this to really tie the area in and to just maintain and kind of make it a central node of this redevelopment area as something to build around. Okay, so now we're going to get into what the plan proposes. So this plan is still has not been adopted yet, as I said up front. So this is the plan as we had written it and with input as well. And so there are 4 subzones here. So the center area is what's going to be known as the district center mixed use zone. The smaller pink area, which you can kind of see to the right of Prospect Avenue and just above Rutherford, is what's known as the mixed use zone. The orange area at the top right and the lower central as well is the multifamily residential area where we propose larger multifamily residential apartments. And then the largest area, this kind of yellow color that makes up the entirety of the left-hand portion and parts of the right-hand portion is the residential and infill or rehabilitation zone. So an area we envision where we are rehabilitating existing housing stock. The green part and the lower part there is the DNR Canal and Belvedere Greenway. And these oval green circle, or I'm sorry, green ovals here that you'll see 3 of them are conceptual proposed areas for open space as well as access to the canal. So, and you see with these little yellow, I call them flowers for lack of a better word. I can't think of what that symbol is called offhand, are areas where we propose actually connecting existing areas to the greenway to create greater connectivity as well. So, oh, sorry, that's the overall. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go into these specific zones and explain what we envision being there, what uses we're proposing, and what that might look like. So the images you're going to see in this section are precedential images, so they're not, they're examples of what could be. I'm sorry? Oh, okay, sorry, it looks like that might have been someone jumped in by accident. So the images that you'll see are precedent images. They're what could be, not necessarily exactly what something will look like when it's built. So we're going to start with the district center mixed use sub area. So the name kind of says it all. District center, this is envisioning being kind of the central area of this redevelopment area and of this neighborhood. And so we're proposing a lot of different types of commercial uses, cultural uses, so things like art galleries, art studios, assembly spaces, which can come in different forms. Assembly can mean churches. It can mean an area for music or other types of shows, community centers, things like that. Assisted living, banks and other financial institutions, brew pubs, childcare centers, continuing care centers, craft distilleries, educational uses, health and sports clubs, including indoor recreation facilities and gymnasiums, hospitals, emergency rooms, laboratories, limited breweries, live and work artist studios, live and work craft or artisan studios, which is slightly different, offices, restaurants, bars, and urgent care. So a mix of entertainment related uses, a mix of kind of nightlife or cultural uses, as well as uses for everyday services like healthcare and things like that. So this would be kind of the area for that. It would also, you'll see these throughout the presentation, which is how we envision when these are built. And again, these are kind of sketches and how it would relate to the greenway. So in this case, we envision a mixed use building, right, which on the bottom might have some of those commercial uses that we talked about. As you go up, you could have apartments or you could have offices, and there would be design standards in place to make the rear of these buildings that are facing the greenway kind of coexist with the greenway to make it kind of feel like part of this neighborhood, right? And ideally, people will use it to walk and bike, whether for recreation or to commute or to get to school or to get to the doctor's office or wherever it might be. And so we envision that relationship to be kind of interact with that zone. Okay. The next is the mixed use sub area, which by land mass is the smallest. So all of this gray does not get included. It's really this kind of mauve pinkish color here. All right, and here we envision multifamily dwellings, and again, some of those commercial uses that we talked about in the previous zone, like the art galleries and art studios, brew pubs and distilleries, education and healthcare uses, and things like that, but with the addition of multifamily that will go up a bit higher, and those were the parts where we identified where that would be appropriate. And again, this is not necessarily exactly what something might look like, but it's an example of what it may look like when constructed. Next, we're going to talk about the multifamily sub area. So that's these orange color here in the top right and the bottom center here. Okay. And so what we envision here is residential uses, but in a higher density and heights than in some of the other areas. So multifamily residential dwellings in the form of townhouses, stacked townhouses and apartments. So these are residential uses that would kind of increase the livelihood and vitality of the area. They would, get to utilize some of those proposed business uses or commercial uses and cultural uses in the center area. But it would allow for a range of housing. And what our recommendation would be as well is for the design standards to, while looking modern, also maintain some of the historic character that the city of Trenton exhibits in its current architecture, but to just do it in a more modern way. And so again, it wouldn't necessarily look exactly like this, but these are an idea of what could be. Okay. And again, here, the relationship of those buildings and those proposed residential uses to the canal in this case. So again, you'd have the rear facing part of it, have an entrance out to the canal where people can walk. You would have, we propose design standards for balconies that face the canal. And the idea is that this would serve as a thoroughfare, an amenity for people who live there. It would be attractive both for the people who are taking the path, right? So they would see the beautiful new buildings, but it would also be attractive for the folks who might live or work in some of these uses along the DNR Canal. Okay, and last area is the renovation and infill sub area. So this is again all existing housing stock that the difference between a redevelopment and a rehabilitation area is in a rehabilitation area, there wouldn't be any way to use the plan as to say we're going to build necessarily new things, but there would be incentives in place for the rehabilitation of existing buildings. So that would be the idea there. And what we envision is you see some of that place on the left that might be in need of rehabilitation to ideally look something like more on the right, which is just, again, we have this beautiful existing architecture and buildings in Trenton, but some areas that might want to do with being rehabilitated for health and safety reasons, rehabilitated for aesthetic reasons. And so really incentivizing that existing housing stock to be improved and rehabilitated. And what we envision here is really kind of what already exists, which are semi-detached dwellings, those kind of two houses together in a row house style, townhouse dwellings, so a number of units together, and apartment dwellings of varying heights. So, apartment uses kind of going up. Okay, so in addition to the, proposed uses, we also are proposing open space. And so we saw this a little bit on the overall, but this really focuses on it. So these are three areas that we've identified as potential open space areas for parks. They can come in different forms, generally what we think of as a park. And again, this is conceptual, but it would be kind of centrally located in some of these areas where more density is proposed. Here in south of Bellevue Avenue along Prospect, and here on Marion Street near East Stuyvesant. Okay. In addition, we are proposing 2 circulation changes or transportation changes. So I'm going to scale, go back real quick here. So if you look at Fraser Street up here, and then you look at Prospect Avenue, there's no connection at this time. So we're proposing in our plan that a connection be put in here. So less dead ends, more connectivity, it makes it easier to, whether it's walk, bike, drive around, that we would open that up. So that's a recommendation in the plan as well. I have 2 slides in here I'm going to skip over. The financial folks are not on the call, and so that had to do with their analysis. So I'm going to skip past that. And the last slide being just kind of what's next, what are we doing after this? So It's community engagement like this meeting that we're having today. The photos you see up there are from a community meeting we had, I want to say it was in September of 2021. And the next phase is so community meetings as necessary. The planning board has already reviewed and recommended the plan that was done, again, I believe in 2021. And so the next step, as I said at the beginning of the call, is introducing to City Council, followed hopefully by adoption of the plan. And so with that, that is my presentation. I think I was able to keep it to about 10 minutes or so.
That was excellent.
So thank you, Stephanie.
That was excellent,
Appreciate
James.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I wanted to,
so then I've
if you don't
got-
mind, if I interject something here,
Sure.
I'm glad that you
Of course.
actually spoke on the rehabilitation component of the plan. I wanted to expound on that we have an opportunity that while the old Mercer site is being redeveloped, this plan is actually the first redevelopment plan that has a rehabilitation component to it. With that being said, that also allowed the area structures around the old Mercer site to be rehabbed for home ownership and other investments. So that gives opportunity for local residents to participate in actually developing or also participate in some rehabilitation project. So I'm hoping that when we're looking at the Bellevue Rutherford redevelopment and rehabilitation plan itself, that is very inclusive, not just for we think someone coming in to redevelop, but it's a true community plan. And I wanted to make sure that we expound on that too.
Absolutely. And so Stephanie was a big advocate in us renaming the plan to reflect the, my mouse wheel's going going a little crazy, in changing it to include the rehabilitation in the name of the plan and area as well. And so to really reemphasize and underscore what he said, the largest part of this is the rehabilitation area. And the idea there is to really allow for rehabilitation of existing homes and housing stock. When we did our community meetings, Nia also had a survey that went around during that meeting. And a lot of please forgive me, it's been about 18 months. And so if I forget a little detail or something from it, I apologize, but it stuck with me as people were asking a lot about, when we do this redevelopment or rehabilitation, how does it impact kind of the housing that exists, the housing in the area, the infrastructure in the area? And the idea is really for it to be positive for not just maybe larger structures that are being built in the center of the district mixed use area, but to really provide an opportunity for the existing housing to be rehabilitated and for every part of the neighborhood to benefit from this plan. And so that's why the largest component of it is the rehabilitation component. Which also, as you can see by the parcels, takes up the most individual properties as well as taking up more space. So thank you for pointing that out, Stephanie, and I hope I dovetailed on what you said appropriately.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
So with all that
Jane,
being said, okay.
Stephanie, just let me answer one question. Someone had asked who would live in the residential and the demographics and what would happen to the homes on Bellevue and Rutherford. Well, first of all, no one will be displaced. That's first of all. Okay. Right. Second of all, we're going to be looking for various programs that will assist homeowners to rehabilitate their own homes. Okay. And then hopefully with the new homes, we can attract new families and new individuals, that are like-minded. Okay. That will want to come in and live in the community. So this is something that will enhance this whole community, okay, and bring new individuals and new families in that are looking for a decent place to live. So that's my spiel on that question. I hope that answered that person's question.
No, you answered it. You answered it quite well.
Will the housing be market rate or low income?
There'll be, I'll tell you, there'll be a, at least the new housing anyway, there'll be a mix of moderate income and market rate housing, market rate for that area, right?
Yes.
So we want to make sure we have the right combination, the right mix of that type of housing.
Yes. It will not just be all market rate, guys. So just know that.
It's a great opportunity for especially those who are in the community itself, that know the community. And we're hoping that this would also be an opportunity for those who are looking to settle into a neighborhood. Right. So it's very inclusive.
Yeah, and we're hoping that the development on the old Mercer Hospital site itself will lend to supportive uses for the community itself. And we've talked, at length about a number of these types of things, but we hope to bring some medical facilities there, therapeutic facilities there. We hope to bring some retail there. Hopefully, we're looking for things like a supermarket, Aldi's type of place, something like that. So what we want to do is create a community that's sort of self-sustaining and is inviting to others to come in and join the community. We will have a bent towards senior citizens in terms of some of the types of housing that we'll have there, make it something that's easier for senior citizens to get around, and some of the services that we hope to provide will support that type of housing. So it'll be truly mixed use in every sense of the word. And, we're hoping for the right mix that will blend into the community very well, but not just to blend, but also to be supportive of the needs of the community.
Right. And what great opportunity.
If I may, I believe we have some council people with us. I don't know. I know I got on a little bit late, so I don't know if any of them were introduced, but I know Teska Frisbee, who is the West Ward councilwoman and council president, is with us tonight. So I just wanted to make sure we acknowledge that she's here and she's listening. And, I'm sure, Teska, if you have anything to say, Octavia will recognize you. And I think Yasmin Ellie Gonzalez is with us as well, if I'm not mistaken, councilwoman at large. So I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that they were with us here this evening.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I couldn't see everybody, so I was not able to recognize it. But another one of the questions was to please speak to the economic development opportunities for the local businesses and contractors.
Sure.
Who could speak to that?
I can speak to that.
I can also speak to that too once Bob is finished.
Okay. So what we're looking at is a type of developers agreement with the city of Trenton that would be a master developers agreement. Okay. However, in that agreement, there will be opportunities for sub-agreements, and that would be for contractors, developers, whatever the case may be, to participate in some of the new construction that's going on, some of the rehabilitation that's going on. We hope to engage with the city of Trenton in some programs that, and I know Stephanie has mentioned this before, she'll talk about it, some programs that will be incentives to rehabilitation of these homes. So we're going to make it as open a process as possible for others to come in and be part of rebuilding the community.
And hopefully local.
Definitely.
Local contractors.
Definitely. Because with all of that, once this area is termed redevelopment and rehab, this also gives opportunity for local contractors and even residents to be able to outright either buy and invest in their own properties. And so that's a great opportunity that most times, most of us don't even understand that process, that according to the local housing redevelopment law, when an area is termed a redevelopment and or rehab, these properties do not go through auction. So that's one incentive off the table. You have opportunity to just come into City Hall, Housing and Economic Development. If the property is the city-owned property, you can literally outright buy that property, and you have to go through council to do so. But this gives a better opportunity, an inroad to accurately capture those properties for rehabilitation or redevelopment individually. But like Mr. Brunetti said, with the redevelopment of the old Mercer site, they're going to offer subcontracting type opportunities for those who may have local contracting licenses that are able to be used for those type of developments. So it's a win-win on all levels.
Yeah, and as you say, Stephanie, there are a number of vacant properties that will be available for individuals or contractors to come in and rehabilitate those properties or build new on some of the vacant.
And guys, forgive me, I'm a little under the weather, so I'm a little off a little bit.
That's okay. Another question was, how would this redevelopment affect the Prospect Street, Calhoun Street, Hanover Street, and West State Street areas? Who wants to respond to that? Well, first of all, let me say this, that it goes, the redevelopment area is from Elmhurst from Marion to Elmhurst, and from Bellevue to Rutherford or East Stuyvesant. So that's a vast area. Now, anytime that whole area comes up, that will bring the property value to all the other areas in the surrounding area.
Yeah.
So does anybody want to add anything else?
Yeah, I don't know if James has any more to add to that, but you're essentially correct, Octavia.
You're right.
By building up this area, this neighborhood, hopefully there'll be spillover effects to other neighborhoods and opportunities for other neighborhoods as well.
And usually that
Right, and so-
happens when you, yeah, go ahead, James, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. So the idea here would be with investment in this central area or a node to use kind of, and I appreciate Stephanie always uses planning speak, which I really appreciate too. So the you kind of build up this central node, and the idea is that you have economic viability spread out from there, right? So within the context of land use in a redevelopment area, you have to pick a defined area, but there's no reason why, you'll see some of these areas are still only a few blocks away from areas slightly outside of it, right? And so if you create more interesting businesses or cultural uses, if you have healthcare uses, if you have a grocery store, these types of uses that come in, they positively benefit these streets that are around the redevelopment area because, they become more valuable because they're closer to this kind of central node. So it definitely has a spillover effect once things begin to become developed.
Right, and with James and what James and also Bob is stating too, that when you actually term an area in need of redevelopment and rehabilitation, there's opportunity for all types of incentives. Can we say what those incentives are now? Not exactly, but we do have opportunity. As I state to a lot of my developers themselves, let's find out what happens once we get the area done and planned and see what's out there. Usually that happens when we start the ball rolling. So we can market and forecast what the possibilities are, but actually we have to actually have the place termed so that we can see how we can produce the evidence to show forth those particular financial opportunities.
What's the time frame to start the project if the ordinance is approved by council, was another question.
That's a Bob question.
Okay, so I think that, first of all, let me state this is a long-term plan, so it's not all going to happen overnight. However, the first phase, I believe, can happen fairly quickly compared to what's happened over the last decade. But I think as soon as this plan is adopted by the city council, our next step would be then to begin phase one. Which will have some housing, we'll have some office/retail types of space. We have some people that have contacted us in the last several months about some of the things that they are interested in on the site. So we would start the phase of being able to submit plans to the city to have those plans approved. So that is going to take several months. So I'm hoping that within 6 months, we'll see some activity on the site. Some of it that we can do sooner, we will. We're looking right now at some of the structures that are there that are of no use at all, that are just bad and need to be demolished. We're looking at which of those are on the site. And that's a process we can start immediately. So I don't have a specific timetable for you. I'm sorry, but I can tell you it'll be in relative short order. Something will begin to happen on the site.
And establishment was, go ahead, Stephanie.
Yeah, and just so everyone know that when we actually speak about redevelopment plans themselves, they have a sunset time frame, and the sunset's usually from really, I've known plans to actually have the time frame up to 30 years. So this is not a one and done or like immediate microwave type situation. This is a plan that's actually going to take some time to put forth. So I'm going to ask that everyone just be patient, and actually more ideas that we have to participate with the plan is ideal.
An establishment was mentioned to include nightlife activity. What kind of security plan systems will be established so the neighborhood will not suffer from additional negative quality of life concerns? First of all, let me respond to that right now. There's all of those ideas that you saw are not written in stone. Okay, so we will, go through, weed out. And, there will be various establishments that everyone can make use of. But this is not going to be a community where we're going to have those type of establishments where it's going to pull the community down. It doesn't make sense to build it up to pull it down.
Yeah, you're not going to have nightclubs and bars and things like that. You will have restaurants that will have liquor licenses and things like that. We hope we have that kind of activity. But you're right, Octavia. This is something that as we go along and the interest grows, we'll handle those as they come along. But we want to make sure that we keep the integrity of the community.
Exactly. And I also want people to understand too, that this is actually I would say a higher use of what we use as our zoning ordinance. So our zoning ordinance actually protects the uses within the particular area. So this plan itself will be an overlay to the zone. So these proposed uses are actually equated as permissive uses, but believe it or not, guys, most of these uses will have to go through your community boards, which is either zoning and or planning. Right. So there is some type of authority around these particular uses that we do not allow certain things to happen within a community that will cause a nuisance or anything like that. So we have the underlying zone, but then we will have this redevelopment zone layered on top. So this plan would actually take precedence over the zone. However, the underlying zone still takes place. James, you could probably say a little bit better than I can, but that's usually the case.
And reason being why we need community involvement. Okay, because your input is very important.
And I believe I may have as a shorthand earlier in the presentation, because I'm always aware of how long I can tend to speak a lot. So I try to shorten it. So rather than repeat the name of the different uses, to saying like a restaurant or a brewery or I said nightlife, but what I meant by nightlife was not nightclubs, but it was places for families and folks to go in the evening after work, like restaurants and things like that. So yeah, nothing in this plan envisions, I'm trying to think of like a comparison, but the idea is businesses that operate at normal hours and also places you can go after work for dinner or for a drink, for coffee, something like that.
Another question was, who owns the former Mercer Hospital buildings and grounds? Will the city need to purchase all of it for this plan to move forward? Bob?
No, it's already owned by one owner,
right?
Which is Panasia Estates.
Yes.
And they will be developing either themselves or with, I call them sub-developers, the items that will be on the hospital proper, that site. As conditions warrant, they may do some other development in the area if it's positive, but the site is owned and will be developed by the owner. Owned by Panasia Estates and will be developed by them.
James, can you put up the slide that shows what Panasia owns and what's surrounding the surrounding area?
I do not have that slide in this presentation. I have the exact one that you're referring to. I know I can see it in my head. It is not included in this. I apologize for not having done that.
Yeah, pretty much though, yeah. I think, James, on the slide that's up now, the darkened areas, the darkest, I guess it's brown. I don't know. My eyes are not too good here. That, for the most part, is what Panasia owns.
Exactly.
And I think I have something this is probably the best image, right?
That's the best one. Yes, that's the better one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
There might be a lot or two that is not included. It might be, but generally this is about the area that's.
Yeah, there's one lot across Bellevue, down a little bit near the old synagogue there. That they own. But pretty much this depicts what they own.
Right.
Okay, Sister Shakira has her hand up. Shakira, you want to go on and ask a question or speak, sweetie?
Sure, thank you. So first of all, congratulations, Octavia. This is, boy, this is dedicated work. I understand how this stuff happens, and this was a long time coming. And
team effort, trust me.
Yeah, I'm sure. And and excuse me, I'm just getting over a bout of COVID.
Oh,
so my voice is
sorry.
scratchy, but I just really want to appreciate what the work that you all have done. I know that this is a long-term project. I mean, this site has been sitting empty almost since I moved here in 2000. Well, shortly after I got here in 2009. I think the hospital closed maybe 2010 or 11.
2010.
Yeah, something like that. So it's been sitting a long time, and it will take a while to develop, even if we get the full support and assistance from our council, which I anticipate we will. And I'm really looking forward to it. The thing I would like to encourage is a strong emphasis on green areas in this project.
Yes.
I think there were 3 green areas that were highlighted for like parks, but I suspect that there probably are opportunities for things like rooftop gardens and to the planners. I know you're probably familiar with the High Line that is in Lower Manhattan and in Philadelphia area, where they used, I think, old railroad tracks, and they just kind of created green space along that whole area. It's noteworthy that areas where there is a high level of greenery, trees, shrubs, gardens, that kind of thing, it's attractive to moderate and middle income families. And and I've been saying for so long, I mean, we're a city of about 85,000, but we could really support another 20, 30,000 families coming into the city. And I'm hoping that many of them will be moderate to middle income people, so that we can share the tax burden. Notwithstanding the fact that I'm trusting that our council people will lean on the state government to give us our fair share in terms of payments in lieu of taxes. But that said, we can build our tax base with new families coming into the area in this community, and with the mixed housing that is planned. I wanted to also mention the healthcare needs in the community. I believe the city is looking at doing a women's healthcare facility over there, not far from Capitol Health. I think in the Lipinski, with what used to be the Lipinski building. And it would be great if this area could include maybe a satellite of that facility. Women's healthcare, we really need that as much as we can get here in the city. And I think that was all, because I think the redevelopment area doesn't include that. Is it Trinity Church that's there? I don't know what the name of that church is. That's there at 5 Points. Off of West State and and Prospect, I think.
I think that is Trinity. Oh, no, you're talking about right there on Spring Street?
Yeah, Spring, and I think there was an old women's dormitory space right next to it, right next to the church. I was hoping that area would be included. I think those two facilities are just they really offer major development opportunity there.
If I may, Shakira, that's something that we were very much interested in including in this plan. But I think as it was being developed, many of the people, including people in the neighborhood, thought that, let's not bite off more than we can chew right now. That could be
at this
something
moment,
that maybe we could add a little bit later, but we were very, very interested in including.
Yeah, those two buildings, I think, I mean, they are hidden jewels, diamonds, really. But anyway, thank you all. This is great work, and I'm very excited. And whatever you need us to do, let us know. Show up at City Council State House or wherever.
I got you on speed dial, Shakira.
Yeah.
I got you. I'm gonna recall it to you.
The state ought to be giving us some money for this. Thank you.
This is very
Ray,
exciting.
Ray, is anybody else's hands up? Because I can't see it. I can't see it.
Yeah, Shakira, I believe you were talking about the Imani Community Church and the residence building right next door to it.
Yeah, that's, yep.
Yeah,
On
okay.
Spring Street.
On Spring, right?
Spring
Spring
and
and
Prospect.
Calhoun. Prospect,
Spring and
sorry.
Prospect, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
No one else has their hand up, Octavia.
okay.
I see a lady named Sheridan.
Yeah, I see that Ms. Sheridan appears to have her hand up if I'm reading the Zoom correctly.
Yeah, I see it,
Sheridan,
Jennifer.
can you go ahead and speak, please?
Yes, good evening, everyone. I had two questions. I put them in the chat, so if you see them in the chat, you can ignore them.
Okay.
My first question was, when we say local contractors, are we saying just contractors that work and license are in Trenton, or are we saying all of Mercer County? That was my first question. And then my second question was, does Pan Asia Estate currently pay taxes to the city for the property that they have?
Yes, well, the easy answer to your second question is yes. They've paid taxes since owning the building, and they're all caught up in their taxes, and they're not behind on anything with regard to taxes. So yes, they are paying taxes right now.
Excellent.
As far as the contractors were concerned, I mean, I think the vision is to have a preference for small contractors from the city of Trenton. I'm not sure, though, it would be exclusive only to the city of Trenton, but certainly preference, the idea is to give preference to those in the city of Trenton. And if
Our
there are
code
enough of
states
them
that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, our code states that we actually should give preference to our local contractors. But let me just bring that a little further. We're hoping, Jennifer, to actually license and give information to those who are able to actually apply for the home improvement contractor registration through the state of New Jersey, so that we can qualify them as subcontractors to be able to do the work that is offered by the local developer. So we're looking, while this is actually happening, we're looking to qualify local contractors to be able to garner the credentials needed so that they can actually apply for some of these subcontracting opportunities.
Excellent, because a lot of times, the smaller guy gets lost in the shuffle.
Right.
And they don't always get an opportunity.
And we found out in the past too, a lot of our local guys didn't have the proper credentials either.
Yeah.
So we have actually been working very closely with the state of New Jersey Contractor Registration Act to get them qualified.
Excellent. Thank you for answering my questions.
Okay, speaking directly, what are some of the incentives that you can speak of at the present? I think, Stephanie, I'll let you speak to that, but I don't think that they're quantified yet. We haven't gotten the various programs that people could use yet.
No, not exactly, but we're working on it. We've been talking about, with the the opportunity for local residents to be able to buy their homes outright if they choose to, where, the city of Trenton have a first-time home buyers program. So, we are hoping that this opportunity that we can increase home ownership in the neighborhood, which is ideal. We can take some of these abandoned and vacant properties and put them back on the tax roll using some of the opportunity in which the city is also looking to really develop its Fight the Blight program, where we will be contracting with local contractors to redevelop and rehab some of these homes to sell for home ownership. So, there's a lot of, like Bob was saying, there's a plethora of ideas that we're trying to formalize that as we're moving forward, we can stabilize them for opportunity.
Okay, there was a question, why has the developer been allowed to let the hospital totally deteriorate? Why wasn't the building stabilized? It is a dangerous, unsightly property. Bob, first of all, let me just reiterate before you say, guys, this is an informational session. We're not going to have a great session here, so please keep that in mind. Go ahead, Bob, answer that.
Well, I think the developer has, or the owner, I should say, has paid for security on the site. We've had that. One of the things that we did not want to do is to put a fence all the way around the site. We thought that was unsightly. And it wouldn't, frankly, it would not deter anyone from getting in there because they've gotten in regardless of anything that we've done. And we didn't want to board up all the windows. There's just too many windows, first of all, to do it. But secondly, it wouldn't keep anyone out. So, you know, I think you could see that there's been some cleanup on the site, that sort of thing. The buildings are structurally sound. The problem is that, you know, they're empty. And the quickest way to be able to secure the site is to begin development on the site. I mean, that is the honestly the only real solution to the problem of vagrants going in there and things like that. So, you know, we have security. You know, we've done what we could, but and you know, we contact the police every single time, you know, there's any concern or problem or whatever. We had cameras on the site. So, you know, I think the owner's done as much as they can. It's got to be a team effort with the city of Trenton and the neighborhood itself, quite frankly. But again, the quickest way to secure it is to begin working on it, begin developing it.
Jeanette, you have your hand up?
Yes. I just wanted to say to you all and to Stephanie, I appreciate the fact that you are trying to work with the state to get proper licensing for those minority contractors who may not have them. That was one of the problems when I was the president of the NAACP, when we were doing the project for the Thomas Edison's new building on West State Street. I worked with them to do workshops, etc., to try to get those individuals who did not have a license and therefore were having problems with being even subcontractors or being supervised by subcontractors to work here in Trenton. I think it's great that we want to have local contractors doing the business here, but we must realize also that there aren't that many, and that those people who do work in the construction area here are unlicensed, so to speak. And so we really need to try to make sure that we help the minority contractors get those licensings. And I'm appreciative that the state has finally decided to help work in that area. So I thank you for that.
Agreed, that's a good point.
If approved, will this be grandfathered into the Trenton 250 master plan?
Stephanie,
I was actually I was actually going to type it in, but yes, this plan directly speaks to the Trenton 250 master plan.
Right.
And being that this is actually one of the plans that are newer, this literally will speak directly to the Trenton 250 master plan.
Right.
I think Harry is asking for the size of the hospital. Can he get that from the plan itself? Is that in there? I don't remember seeing it. I don't remember seeing it.
The floor area or the square footage of those properties might be in there, but I don't know if like the total height and bulk of it, I don't think is in there. I don't think so. No.
Harry, you're on mute. Okay, so he's having a problem. Okay, if we haven't answered all of the questions here, will you please raise your hand if I've missed any questions in the chat? Please raise your hand. Ray is going to, if the meeting is recorded, so I'm not sure. Ray, will we be able to send this out so that people can read it, or how can we do that so that people can go back through it?
Absolutely, it'll be posted up on YouTube and I'll give you the link.
Okay, all right.
We'll have it
thank you.
collaborationtrenton.com.
Okay, thank you.
Octavia, I see somebody named Tawana who wants to speak.
Tawana?
Yes, it's Tawana. And yeah,
Tawana?
I put my question in the chat, and
did we answer it?
Well, not yet. It was, I
Okay.
just put it in, it had to do with something that Mr. Pernetti spoke to, which we do thank them for coming out to clean up the property, because it is really an eyesore, and it's
Yeah.
really very dirty and filthy around the entire building. So my question is, while I think the plan sounds really good and it certainly will be wonderful for our neighborhood, my question is, while you're getting the plan approved and then ultimately implemented, can we actually get a consistent cleanup, something scheduled on a monthly basis for the property while you're working on everything, getting everything done? And then of course we're hoping that as you're working on it, that it will remain clean and well kept as well. As far as construction is concerned, we do understand there will be, some concerns with that, but we do want to know if we can get the place cleaned up on a consistent basis.
Yeah, I believe the owners have contracted with a landscape company to do that on a regular basis, to do the cleanup on a regular basis. I will double check into that and take your sentiments back to the owners, but I believe they have entered a contract with someone to come out on a regular basis.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Let me ask you this. Have you seen the property lately, Bob?
Yes, I was there today.
There lately? You was there today?
Yes.
How did it look to you?
To me, it looked much, much better than it did a few months back. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it looked much better to me.
Okay, all right. So, and I really understand, we understand how people that live in that community and that have to face that community daily.
I agree.
And I do understand that there's no money coming into that property, so it's a lot to be putting money out as well on a monthly basis too.
Well, we appreciate your understanding, but you are correct.
Yeah.
We should be doing everything we possibly can to make it look, as nice as we can. Listen, I mean, there's some old buildings, they're dilapidated buildings. There's a lot wrong with the site. Believe me, it's a challenge, but we should do as much as we can to at least make it somewhat, presentable.
Right.
And I will continue to urge the owners to do that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any more questions? If there's no more questions,
just going back to the previous question, I'm not sure, as James said, what they were referring to in terms of the size and so on, but the surface area, the area is about 13 acres of the hospital site. So I don't know if that helps the person with the question or not.
Okay.
Bob, just to let you know, I think Harry was comparing it to the St. Francis site.
Okay.
Which is about 10 acres. So this is very slightly larger.
Right.
Right.
Okay. Stephanie, you wanna close us out?
Oh, most definitely.
If there's no more questions.
There's no more questions.
Hey,
So
Bobby?
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask, now the structure of that building, will some of that building be brought down? Because some of it looks horrendous from the eye. Not that I'm a developer, but for a resident that ride by there 4 or 5 times a day, it looks like some of it needs to be, some demolition needs to be done there. Or the building, will that take place? Or
yes, so some of the buildings will come down. Yeah, because you can't, as you said, I mean, they're just in total disrepair.
Right.
And they can't be really used for anything, so they will come down. I believe the one on the corner of Prospect and Bellevue, I mean, we all have seen that. That's got to come down. We can't save that for anything at all. So that'll come down. There's an old laundry building. There's a few other buildings that will come down. So if the buildings, are unusable, they're going to come down. Now, there are some that are questionable. I mean, they could possibly be put to reuse, but again, quite frankly, it's going to come down to economics. So if we can reuse them in a in a way that supports the project and is economically viable, we will. Otherwise, they will come down as well.
Okay, thanks. Because just by some of that demolition being done, that'll make that area look a whole lot better.
I agree.
Once it's passed through city council.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I also believe some of that demolition, and I'm hopeful that that will happen sooner rather than later, will help with some of the security issues as well.
Correct. Whatever I can do, I'll see you at city council.
Thank you.
Who is that? Speaking?
Reverend Taylor.
That's Pastor
Okay.
Taylor.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Pastor Taylor. Okay, Carolyn, you have your hand up?
Yes, hi, this is Carolyn Lewis Sproul. I have a question about the current owners of the buildings, Mercer buildings. When they took it over, I was under the understanding that they were going to try to develop medical offices as well as educational sources like nursing school and radiology education. Is that still part of the plan?
Yes. Yes. I mean, we don't know exactly what, those uses will be, but we really want medical and educational uses to be, and it is part of this plan.
Okay, thank you.
Just to speak to that too, the permitted uses in the area of the former hospital, one of them is educational uses, and that encompasses that type of training. So whether it's medical related training for nursing or something like that, or vocational training, those are the types of uses that could come in and would be legally permitted.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, Steph, it's all yours.
One more person.
Oh, is it? I'm sorry.
Kaneda Bullock has her hand up.
Hello.
Bullock,
Hi, everyone.
Hi. Hi.
Hi.
Just wanted to ask a follow-up question about the owner and his or her recipient, or is she a recipient of the dollars for the redevelopment? Or would that be coming out of their pocket?
Say it again. Say it again.
Yeah.
Ask it again.
Sure. No
Let's say
problem. So just asking if the owner will receive a large portion of these redevelopment dollars to redevelop the site, or is there any expectation that they'll also forward their own funds to manage this project?
They will be using their own funds for sure. The vast majority of what it's going to take to do the build out will be their own funds. Wherever they can receive incentives, either from the city or the state or even the federal government, obviously they're going to be looking to be able to do that. Quite frankly, without some incentives, this will never happen. Because economically, it's just the numbers don't work without some sort of assistance. But the vast majority of dollars will be the owners.
Right.
Thank you.
I don't want to speak too soon.
I know, I just kept, even though I'm like ready to go. So with all that being said, everyone, I hope you guys were very informed. And so our next step, again, is actually taking this opportunity to City Council at its first reading to have this area known as the Bellevue Rutherford Rehabilitation Redevelopment Area to be adopted as a plan. And so we're hoping by tomorrow morning that I will have all of this package to have our director sign off on it, let it go through the proper channels and process, and hopefully by the next council meeting, which we're hoping to get on, is the 21st, if no later than the 23rd, to see if we can actually proceed. And we are going to need everyone's participation in a positive, proactive way to make sure that this goes forward. This is an exciting time. There's a great opportunity here, not just for the owner of the Mercer site, but also for the surrounding area. And I believe this is the first time in the city of Trenton where we all have opportunity to redevelop an entire community. And I'm really excited too about some of the adaptive reuses that may take place at the Mercer site. So I'm just really grateful to be the principal planner on this. And I'm hoping that we can actually see this through.
Yeah, and if I may, Octavia, I would just like to thank you, certainly, but everyone that has participated from the neighborhood. I think it's been a tremendous enlightenment for the owner to know that there's this kind of support, and not only support, but input from the neighborhood. I believe that he is going to do his best to include many of the suggestions that were made, and hopefully to come up with a few innovative programs as well. I have a couple of ideas of what we can do. So if I can get them to buy off on those ideas, I think that will enhance the project in the neighborhood as well. So I just really want to thank you all for being part of this, and actually for being very cooperative. This has been a great exchange of ideas, I think. So I'm very, very appreciative. Thank you.
Okay, we really have to thank everybody for coming, for everybody for participating. And we just need to keep this hope alive. And we can only do that with the continuation of this. And please note, it's not Octavia, it's Nia. So I can't do it by myself, and I got a team, and they be down with me. So it's really a blessing to have you guys come in and be concerned and want to see this come fruition. So thank you everybody for coming, and until the next time.
Thank you.
Have a great night, everybody.
You too, Stephanie.
Thank you so
Hey,
much.
Stephanie. Good
Thank
to
you,
see
everybody.
Thank you. I'm excited, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Truly excited. Have a
Happy
good night.
Valentine's
everybody.
Better, Stephanie.
Night.
Thank
Thank you
Good
so
night.
much.
Good night.
All right.